Okay. So earlier today, Sunday right now, did a stream where I created this motion graphic um, using Blender, and then I take it into Ventuz, and we'll go through that process. You know, sorry I've been away for so long. You know, life has its ups and downs, and been busy with stuff. You know, and I apologize I haven't been around, but try to be around more and focus on what I need to focus on. Let's get started. So we got empty scene in Blender. What I'm gonna do is create a little football, and we'll bring this into Ventuz and use the PBR lighting and some of the materials. Very simple. We'll create some simple graphic, but let's get started. You can of course import your assets or models or create them in another software. It can be Cinema 4D, could be Maya, could be 3ds. I choose Blender because it's free, doesn't cost nothing, and it's developing all the time. And you know, the tools are getting better as each version comes out, and it's amazing. So I'm going to subdivide this by 2 with a modifier, and I'm going to apply this modifier. And what I want to do is hit tab, go into edit mode, select the edges. Now I will go to quiet from time to time because some of this stuff is just selecting the edges, so feel free to fast forward this, or you know, you can follow along. But I'm just going to select these edges and select all these hexagons. Sometimes we have to do long and boring stuff, you know, this laborious stuff. Sometimes it's easier than, you know, but yeah, there might be a better technique, but for now, this is just simple. It's boring but simple. Sorry about that. Anyway, I'm going to stop waffling on and I'll just click through and do this. I do hope you have a good weekend though. It's going good. Yeah, life is great, right? Life is too short. Enjoy it. Make some cool stuff. Have fun. And don't be afraid to experiment, try different techniques. Like I said, you don't need to follow along. Beat it myself. You don't have to follow this. You can just go and download a model if you wanted. Entirely up to you. That's it. And select all these shapes. Should look like a football. Almost got all the lines. Let's just quickly take a look. Yeah. So now what I'm going to do is just save this selection, just in case I accidentally click it. So I'm going to correct the vertex group, assign, select. So now if I say select that vertices, you know, it's there. So I'm going to hit right click, bevel edge. Okay. Now my bevel settings only have one segment. That. And again, I'm going to assign this group here. I'm going to hit Shift D, duplicate. Then I'm going to say separate selection. So if I hit enter, so now I have this cage. I'll call this cage. And then we've got the ball. So this is just a additional asset or graphic we can animate if we want. And this is the football itself. It doesn't look like much of a football. If I right shade screen, right, if I right click it and shade it smooth, it doesn't look like a football right now. But don't worry, we will make that into a football. Let's just shade smooth this. Let's add some modifiers to this cage that we just extracted from the ball. So we can solidify this. There we go. Something like this, nice and chunky. And maybe want to add a subdivision to this. Let's see how that looks. Maybe before. Let's see what. Yeah, that looks better. Okay, and apply these to apply and apply. So these modifiers applied. Nice cool cage. Okay, so I'm gonna just hide this layer for now. I can rename this cage. Just hide this. Come back into edit mode, and with fast selection, so I'm gonna say select this. I'm gonna select extrude along normals, and I'm gonna push this inwards. Hit tab. Now, because I shaded that smooth, you don't want to do that. Let's just put it back to the shade auto smooth, or you can leave it flat and apply modifier to this instead. So surface. So now it looks, the more looks like what we want. It's much better than the shading smooth. And we're going to say apply. No, actually, yeah, we're going to hit apply. Okay, so we've got the ball. Now I'm going to assign a material to this. Assign different colors. I've got like a, let's go for gunmetal. So this is what it looked like for now. And you can set the roughness if you want. There you go. Teddy. I don't know. There we go. Now what I want to do is extract some of these panels. So easy way to do that, you can just go into faces, and if we select, say, the center of one of these pairs, and I hold Control plus, expand that selection like so. And what I'm going to do is say right click, separate selection, boom. Now I have one of these panels that I can assign another material to. So if I move this material, come out of edit mode, remove that material, set a new material, you can give it a color, kind of reddish, and then you can bring that roughness down. Boom. What I'll do is repeat this process and just pull out some of these plates. So I want to separate some of them, just a few, not all of them. So maybe yeah. Like I said, there are better ways to do this. Always something. There's always a better way to do things in life. You just gotta, stumble through them. But yeah, it's a great selection. Okay, there. We learn from our mistakes, don't we? Yeah. That this will do there. Not perfect, but if you do want to make that perfect, you can. For now, that'll do. So I got a couple of. Maybe I'll choose this one here. Might do two around this side here. Okay, so I'm just holding Control and then Control plus on the keyboard to grow the selection. Then I'll just say separate selection, and let me do this one here. Come out of edit mode. So we're now in object node. Now these materials here, I'm just going to apply this red one to these. This one. You can go ahead and name these, but I'm not going to spend too long on these. Let's make sure I've got all of them. Yeah. All I'm going to do is just grab these and just push them out. Be perfect. Over out and they need to be. And this one. There we go. So I'm gonna leave that one in there, but so we've got like almost like a you see these graphics always like they do them in Cinema 4D and After Effects. They create these cool assets, but this should be alright for now. Now if you do want to create additional graphics or elements, you can do it in here and just export them out. So like I said, we got the cage as well, so make sure you apply material to this. Bring that roughness down. And let's just bring that nice and glossy for now. Okay, I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna export this out. So I'm gonna say File, Export. I'm gonna choose a GLPF. I'll put it on my desktop under 3D stuff. I'm just gonna overwrite this one, ball motion graphic. Now you can minimize Blender, save it. Don't forget to save your file. You don't want to redo it and we have to model it again. Now you're going to go to the location of the file. So mine's on the desktop and the 3D stuff, and then this is it, ball motion graphic, and you can see here's the ball. Now, at any point you update that same file. So if you overwrite the existing file and you leave the geometry import node still at the front of your hierarchy, you can just hit update and it will update the file. So any changes you do to that file, say I move this position, so I move this out here, and then re-export that same scene. Yeah, and just overwrite this existing one. You'll see this plate here. Go back to Ventuz, and we find that same plate. It'll be this plate here. If I hit update, you'll notice, I'll zoom in, the plate is further out. It'll reset the translation because it's going back to its original. But you can update it as well. And once you're happy with it and you want to lock this into place and you say, well, I'm not going to re-edit this model again, you can just kind of delete that, and now it's fixed. It's kind of fixed. You can re-import it, of course, but then you have to replace all of this tree. So bear that in mind. But it's the update is cool with the geometry import node. Hopefully one day there'll be a live link with Blender, which will be amazing if that exists, but maybe one day. We'll see. We don't know. We'll just have to see what Ventuz create. Anyway, what I'm going to do is we've got all these red materials that are the same, and what we're going to do is just parent all of these under one red material. Over there. Makes our life easier, makes our tree more organized, because we only the same material repeated. We can just use one. Now I'm going to change that roughness, and all the PBR stuff to look really nice. What we need to do is change our engine to high dynamic range, and we do want to set it's already set to Visual based, but we want to add a PBR studio box. So I'm going to use the right click the PBR skybox and use the skybox studio. Place this in front, and you can now see how it's looking. Now you can rotate this, of course, and you can see it's already lighting up, and you get the nice gloss environment on the ball. Yeah, let's change the roughness. So if I bring that roughness down, see how glossy that now looks. Yeah. You can bring that metallic up if you want, how metallic you want it. But I kind of like the glossy, plasticky look. And it looks like gloss, really glossy. The ball, I want it like a gunmetal. So change it a little bit grey. It's not black, but it's grey. And then we're gonna bring the metal up, of course, and the roughness down. Maybe more grey. A little bit less metal. Oh, I have to control shift. There we go. Be a tiny bit rough, so it's too glossy. Because you can go for chrome if you wanted, but we don't want it too chrome. I want to see some of the highlights, but not too. And then we bring that color down. I like that. That looks kind of cool. If I spin it around, spin the wall around. Yeah, I like that. Depends what you want to do. Now I want this to be made look like it's made out of glass. So what I can do is we can apply blending mode to it. So let's go to blending and change that alpha to something like blue. Oops, the wrong one. So then we put this back to simple. Right, make sure you have the right one. So it's the cage. I changed the wrong material. You can rename these, but it says cage right here. Anyway, so let's bring this roughness down so it's all glossy. We want it metallic, lightly, maybe a tiny bit, just a tiny bit. Okay, now first thing you'll think is if I put the opacity down, or what you'd expect it to kind of disappear, but I don't know why it doesn't. But what we're going to do is apply a texture base with alpha, and we're going to set this to a built-in texture. Actually, we'll just use this lens dirty flare, and I'm going to do is change the mapping to say, I don't know, spherical reflection. I have the wrap. Change the clamp to wrap. Simple wrap. And you can play around with the scale. Okay. Go into the blending up here. Let's try to change that blending mode to screen. So now move this around. Looks like we've got some kind of glass picking up, bits of reflection. Not perfect, but you can see we go really zoomed in, kind of get that glossy idea feel of it. You can play around with the texture itself. I just done it again and I chose the wrong one. Apologies, this material had. There's a glow. Multiply. Let's try a different one as well. Linear dodge. Have a play around with it, see what works, what doesn't. Let's change that 3D mapping to maybe world space reflection. I can see something's happening here. I can see it there. It's very hard to see. I don't know how easy it is, but there's some kind of reflection. Anyway, change that. The alpha here. This. Does it allow me to change? I'll take that metalness down. Maybe I'll bring up some of the roughness. That seems to give it a bit more glass look. Anyway, yeah, play around with that, but yeah, I like that. Now what you can do is you can have a mover on this. So we have this spinning if we want a different speed if we wanted. It doesn't have to even be that size, it can be further out, it can be inside the ball. Maybe we want to be inside it. I don't know, let's try it. I'm kind of making this up as we go along, but you can see I just added a mover and then I can change right click and increase that duration. So, and maybe I want to offset the rotation on the Z and the X. There we go. So now we got some kind of background going on. It's kind of cool. All right. Simple, but yeah, effective, right? Now, with the Sky Studio, you do have the ability to turn this off, so you can turn this background off, and just change the exposure of that. So you can say how much you want of it, brighter, darker. Entirely up to you. Rotate this around, and you can see how it does look really good. It does really look good. Anyway, oh, you can load your own HDRIs as well. Now this material here, kind of want to change a bit tone. Look at that. Maybe it's just the roughness there. Something like that. It depends on the look you really want, but I kind of like that. There we go. Now, if you want to add additional graphics, you can import geometry in, or you can bring in textures, additional ones. This one, I'm going to just hit an axis, add an axis to this, circle. Place this to the top of my hierarchy. Let me zoom in a little bit. There we go. And if I scale this up, we won't see the circle because probably we're looking at the back face or something like this. There we go. Now we're looking at it straight on, so I'll set this to 90. This 180. Oh, maybe we want it. There we go. What happens if we do -27? Where is it? There it is. Okay, I'm gonna scale this down. We have this little disc. Now I'm gonna apply a color to this. Make sure I move these over for here. There we go. And you can again set this. You can choose to set that to a PBR if you want. If you want it to pick up some of the HDRI lighting, and then play around with the roughness and the reflection yourself. No rules here. Alright, click on the circle, add a hole, change the angle, grab a spreader, so go to the world, spread, save now, take this. Now I'm going to increase the count, so right now it's at 5, let's increase it to maybe 8, and rotate this on the Z, and then let's change this on the Z position, like so. Let's scale this up, change the whole size like I said. We got additional graphics and elements without, having to do much. So you can build all of this in, in Ventuz as well. You won't, I mean, you can't do the modeling part, but you can build simple geometry. Use base color. This color can be whatever you like. You want it red? It's red. You want it more rough? This rough. Metallic. You want it to pick up the highlights? Entirely up to you. Play around with that. You can also change the angles of that. Yeah, you can create some crazy looks, but yeah, I'll leave it for that. There we go. Kind of like that. Like this. Maybe the material stuff, the roughness. I'll just turn down the emissive gain. It's kind of went a little bit darker. But yeah, play around with that. Choose the colors you want. Feel like you're locked into anything. Same goes for this. If say you wanted one of these to be a different color, you could just take that material and say, okay, I'm going to use this material and change this one to a blue. And maybe I want to apply this one as well to the blue. So I have two blue plates. There you go. Now you notice here these plates kind of disappear. Don't forget you can turn on the back faces. That's wireframe, sorry, solid, and say none. Now you got both sides of the face. Yeah. And we want this to animate. Okay. So what I'm gonna do is again just click the little squiggly line here. If you want, you can add a mover, but I'll just click the squiggly line. I'm gonna say linear 360. Right click this. Make that nice and slow. I'll make sure I'll set this to minus. I want it to go opposite the other background. And you can build up layers. So you notice we've got this one. What happens if I've got another spreader? If I get another spreader, then same that. And increase the is it the Y? Yeah, the Y. Increase the count. Boom. Increase that scale. You can offset that rotation. Set this rotation. Fade them out. You can even give it there, whatever you want. Now we've got some crazy elements that we can move around and you can see stuff. There you go. The world of spheres. Well, there you go. Hopefully that's some use. I don't know if it's a little introduction to, using the PBR box. I didn't really do much with it, but we used the PBR materials and you can kind of correct cool things. I didn't do anything too complicated, let's move this up. But yeah, don't ever feel that you're not able to create different elements or assets. Let's just turn this cage off for a second, or maybe make this cage smaller. There we go. You can see the types of looks we can get. Look and feel. You can zoom in. Imagine, and you can put textures. I recommend you do use textures and build up your backgrounds and stuff like that. Another thing you can do is, like, for example, I did this earlier. Just got like a cylinder. I think it was a cylinder. Actually, you can just use a sphere as well. Probably a sphere. And we can scale this up. Go solid color. And set this to none. Light. And we want to see the inside of the face. So in our draw mode, where you go solid, now we have back face, we want to see the front face. Now I want to apply a texture to this. So just go to texture, go on the base, and the browse here in my desktop. 3D stuff. I'll choose this floodlight texture. And right now we can't see it, but there it is. Go into our UV mapping, UV0, and make sure you change that to wrap, so you can repeat that. If I change on the X, now we start to see. We make it smaller. There we go. We have few or less, depends on how many you want. Scale on the Y. Boom. You got kind of floodlights. It's not amazing, but just addition. additional detail that you can use. You could also control and duplicate this, place it on top. If I change this to say texture decal, apply operation, say screen, so add that same material on top. You can see it here on the ball. If I zoom in, so it's adding it to the ball. So I'll zoom in and change the UV mapping to also 3D space. You can do world space reflection. Oh, make sure leave this one as the 2D. Sorry, I selected the wrong one. It's this one. Make sure you have the right one selected. So it's this one. Make sure we say, so you can say 3D and then say, let's say world space reflection. And you get this kind of cool reflection. Scale up how much you want to show on there, and you can change the opacity, run it brighter, darker. There we go. With the decal. There you go. Now you get this nice, looks like it's reflecting. These little spotlights in the background. Yeah, all kinds of crazy things. And if you was to build, I recommend you can cover the ground. I'd recommend covering the ground, adding like a floor, something rather than just repeating that spotlight. But I'll leave the rest up to you. You know, you can animate these however you want. You can animate the camera. You can zoom in, spin it around. You can add titles, text if you wanted, all sorts. But yeah, there we go. So building motion graphics in Ventuz is not difficult. You know, you've got a lot of assets and resources you can import in, and some of these tools now, like the PBR box and Skybox, are really useful. And you can create cool stuff with them. You see how much it adds to your graphics now. This looks so much nicer. Don't forget, you also have under lights. There's also the new PBR lights that you can use too. Don't be afraid to try those out. I just dropped those in, but you know, you can light this as well. So don't forget, you can experiment with those. They also have shadows and stuff, but I won't go too much into that. And on top of that, we have ambient occlusion. So you can see, just turn down ambient occlusion, how much it added, just added a bit more detail, shading in between those darker areas, that, you know, those corners. Right now I notice the cage is clipping these plates here, so I'm going to just bring this forward, scale it up, there we go. So it doesn't clip into it, so I just scaled it up a tiny bit. That's just the overlapping of those plates there, that's why it was looking weird. What else was I going to do? Oh yeah, so you got don't forget, you do have your, you know, post effects as well that you can add to your layer and also to the scene. You can like say, oh, I want to add a blue and change that threshold, or, you know, diameter, whatever you want. Bring that gain down. And it can be subtle. I don't know how the depth of field would look, but you can, you know, add depth of field so you can blur maybe that background out. So take it out of focus, maybe show the screen and then change your range, focus range, so I guess the distance. So we want to focus on the ball and not the background as much. So we can turn that off, and now you can see that's more blurred. And then of course you've got quality and stuff. So this is fast depth of field, but you can go for quality. Again, it's finding what works for you. But yeah, you do have a lot of cool tools in here. You know, the aperture, but yeah, I do like it. It's good fun. Hopefully it was use to you. What happens if I Lens flare, might be too much. It's definitely too much lens flare. But yeah, and like I said, you got the post effects, so you can go in here, click on effects, you can add blurs, glare, you want some crazy effects, you can of course do that. Entirely up to you. Not glare, you could do crash zoom and have it go crazy. It could be feedback, some kind of weird feedback, like almost looks like it's blurred, but anyway. You could turn it into mosaic. There's so much you can do, you know. Um, but yeah, click on different things, see what you like, what you don't like, photorize that, edge detection, noise. For this one, I'll use distortion, and I'll just add the stand barrel, boom, kind of make it kind of look a bit more cool. There we go. And adding even just the camera in the scene and changing the field of view. Can have a whole look, different feel of the whole thing. So if I bring that field of view out, but then go back in, I can get this whole over exaggerated look with changing that field of view. So yeah, but experiment said. Are you afraid to not try different things, see what works? You can imagine, you can create some really cool, funky stuff. But yeah, there you go. We made a football. It's nothing fancy. I'm just gonna put a quick linear animation on that. Boom. Thank you again. Enjoy your evening, night, day, wherever you are. Don't forget to hit that subscribe, like button, wherever you are.